You heard me.
Mr. President, just the essence of the relations in the tripartite alliance, the importance of keeping the alliance together. Mr. Mapaila says you can't dictate to them. If there's an alliance summit, it's about the economy, not about the elections. What's your standpoint on this? And why do you say this would weaken the alliance if the SACP were to contest, noting that Action SA has 44 seats without any vote?
Well, we've always worked together as a solid bloc, as the alliance, and we've strengthened each other. And over the years, where the other one has weakened, the other one has risen to strengthen the other. And in this case as well, we want to muscle the collective strength of the alliance, even as we go to war in the elections. Now, as we have said as the ANC, this is going to weaken the alliance because ANC members will be voting for the ANC, and other ANC members who are also members of the SACP will be voting for the SACP. So that splits the vote, and we want a consolidated vote. But having said that, we need to discuss the modalities of how the decisions that the SACP has taken will be put into practice and how we will work during the election campaign. And we don't obviously regard the SACP as our enemy, nor do they regard the ANC as their enemy. We are allies, and we are allies that are joined together by blood, by principle, by ideology over the years, and by membership as well. So we will discuss all these matters, and I'm sure that we will find a better way of managing this whole process of electioneering and going to elections. And as I've said, we are going to engage, and we will engage in a much more positive and fruitful way.
Mr. President, on the issue of Venezuela and the United States of America, when you saw that President Trump had taken a decision with his Delta Force to invade Venezuela and abduct President Nicolas Maduro, how did you feel at that particular point, noting that you yourself have a very frosty relationship with the man Cyril Ramaphosa dubs with an M as the head of the United States?
Well, I think everybody now in the world agrees that what has happened is a violation of international law and also a violation of the United Nations Charter. And that is why we called for the Security Council to meet to discuss this matter. And they are the one body that is mandated by the entire world to deal with issues of peace, to deal with issues of security. And we are hoping that the collective wisdom that resides in the Security Council and in the UN body as a whole will bring forward solutions and bring to bear some good sense that should prevail. Because what has happened now basically is giving carte blanche to anyone to mount an invasion on any country. And clearly that cannot be something that we are all pleased with. But the Security Council, as well as the United Nations, must deal with the matter. So they are best placed to address this matter.
Mr. President, are you worried about any invasion in South Africa, given how we've heard Trump speak about this country?
No, I'm not worried about an invasion to South Africa, not at all. I think we are way far from anything like that. And in the end, the United States is an important country in the world, and we have always believed that any differences with whichever country, including the United States, needs to be discussed. We need to sit down and find solutions. And we follow the Madiba doctrine that there is no problem without a solution. And the best way of dealing with problems, whether in a country or in the world, is where parties sit down together. And it is through this doctrine that Nelson Mandela led us to bring an end to the nightmare of apartheid, a doctrine of engagement, of discussion, of negotiations and collaboration.
Mr. President, you're live on Newsroom Africa, Channel 405. The DA has just released a statement criticizing government, but also the ANC, saying it has adopted a hypocritical stance in relation to what has taken place in Venezuela compared to that it has adopted in the war or conflict in Russia. Your response?
Well, the DA is quite selective in its own memory. They don't even recall a recent historical moment when South Africa led a delegation of, or participated with the delegation of a number of African countries, where we went to Ukraine and to Russia, urging the two countries to end the devastating war that they are engaged in. And South Africa has remained engaged in discussions with the two countries. In a way, we are the only country possibly in the world that has been accessible to both countries in terms of forging a peace. We talked to the Ukrainians, President Zelensky, we talked to President Putin, and we have been engaged in a number of initiatives, including the release of prisoners of war, including the release of children who were taken out of Ukraine. And in this case, we are a reliable partner that many leaders in the world have also recognized. They come to us and even say, can you pass on a message to President Putin? Can you pass on a message to President Zelensky? So we are not being hypocritical. We are very practical and very honest and determined in fostering peaceful outcomes in various conflicts in the world.
Mr. President, lastly from the SABC, on the issue of Northwest and the January 8 statement, you're going to a province where service delivery is deplorable. You go to Sabotle, that municipality has crumbled. You go to a company, Clover, that had closed down in one of the municipalities due to lack of service delivery. Rustenburg, the PRT not working till today. Regional secretary arrested on issues of extortion. What message are you sending to a province that is largely seen as a stepchild, if one may say?
Well, the reason why we are going to Northwest for January 8th is to continue enhancing and fostering our renewal process. And the renewal process is not only about renewing the ANC and its structures and its leadership and its membership. It's also about the rejuvenation and the renewal of our government processes and structures. And through this, we are obviously engaging with our people. But more than that, the ANC has come up with a local government action plan, which we are going to be embarking upon quite vigorously throughout the year. But on top of that, at government level, we have made local government revival and rejuvenation a priority, particularly with our transformation or reform processes that have been underway under Vulindlela. In the second phase of our transformation or reform program, local government is the centerpiece of what we are going to be doing. So we are aware of the challenges, the difficulties, particularly in Northwest, and that's why we are there. And we are going to attend to all those challenges without running away from them.
Mr. President, sorry, one last question off topic.
Yes, everybody has a last question.
I want to ask you, have you applied your mind in terms of selecting the next NDPP? I know that the recommendations were made to you. The clock is ticking. Have you made up your mind, and when can we expect a decision?
Well, the current NDPP ends her term at the end of January. We are now on the 5th of January. 6th? Yes. Oh, you're so clever. So I have been applying my mind and will be acting on the recommendations that have been put forward to me. And I can assure you that we will have an NDPP. Cometh the time when the NDPP's term comes to an end.
Mr. President, final question
Yes,
from Newsroom Africa. There's also been a court challenge that's been lodged against particularly the President as well as the advisory panel. Now, that's in relation to the manner in which the advisory panel conducted its interview in relation to Advocate Cronje, right? You have until tomorrow to file papers in relation to that in the urgent application that's been launched by Bikulu and Partners Incorporated. How do you respond to that?
Are you a lawyer or do you have legal training?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. That matter is being attended to. We know that there's been a court challenge, and our democracy is so broad and generous. It allows anybody to challenge anything that is done in government. So that lawyer's firm has launched a challenge, and we have a response, and they will get to know the response in due course because there is a very clear response to what they have said.
Are you fearful that this may delay the appointment of a new NDPP?
No, I am not fearful. I know that we are on course to do what is correct in terms of our constitution.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
You don't have more questions?
No,